Let's move on to the one team in the division who I actually think is pretty good.
Yeah.
That's the Tennessee Titans.
That's for last.
And Ryan Tannehill, who has continued to impress, let's say it. Like, the guy's been a legit quarterback for a few years now. And you've got him going 366 for 550 for almost 4,500 yards, 33 touchdowns, 11 picks. And adding, I mean, the guy is a legit running threat also, 56 rushes, 263 for 6 touchdowns. And that's good enough for your quarterback 11 projected-wise. You actually have him 10 on your big board.
I mean, you have A.J. Brown, you have Julio Jones, in addition to a running back that's going to constantly be moving you down to the red zone. Tannehill does have that sneaky, as you said, a little bit of athleticism to him. He's going to run in for scores. He's going to chuck throws. Been among the most efficient quarterbacks the last 2 years. 2 years ago was the quarterback 2 from the time he took over to the end of the year. Last year, he put up 350 fantasy points. If you did that any other season other than last year, it would have been top 3 from like 2019 to 2012. He would have been top 3 quarterback. Last year, it just so happened that 7 quarterbacks put up 370 points. It was a ridiculous year for quarterback scoring. So he was only quarterback 8, but he still had a monster season. The one concern for me is Arthur Smith has left, one of the best play callers, I think, in this NFL game right now. Did so many wonders to like kind of get Ryan Tannehill de-gaced, like get Gase out of his system, helped him come along, and was such a great play caller, especially in the red zone. Titans have been number 2 and number 1 in red zone efficiency in back-to-back years. That's Smith's calling card. I hope that their new offensive coordinator can do that. Todd Downing. The last time he was a play caller with the Raiders, and it was the year after Derek Carr was your MVP, Todd Downing came in and just fucked everything up. He had Crabtree, he had Cooper, he had a great Derek Carr, and the offense just sucked. So I am a little nervous. Like if he fucked that offense up, you say, how could you possibly screw up A.J. Brown, Julio Jones, Derrick Henry, and a good quarterback in Tannehill?
Maybe there's people that could find a way.
Right? This guy could. That's my one real worry with Tannehill and really anybody in this offense beyond, of course, injury. But I still think the guy's in for a great year. How could he not?
Yeah, I agree. He's a guy that I wouldn't have minded getting in the draft. He was in my kind of Stafford, Brady, Tannehill. I had all those guys kind of in. I was like, I want to get one of those guys, maybe Fitzpatrick, maybe a little bit below those guys. I ended up getting Stafford for $2.
I love it. Yeah, I would say that's the exact tier he should be in. And like I keep saying, you need Trey Lance, you need Justin Fields, and then a bridge. You would be that much better to go like Tannehill round 9, and then one of those guys to know you have like a legit top 10 quarterback all year, and you're not just banking on maybe Fitz will blow up. I think he will, but that's certainly less of a floor than what Ryan Tannehill's bringing. So round 9, especially if you've already filled out your receivers, you got your good tight end and Logan Thomas or better, and you have at least 2 to 3 running backs, I think it might make even more sense to go like Tannehill 9, Trey Lance 10, and kind of give yourself a legit, like not just a bridge, but a really firm bridge that even if Lance didn't play, you have yourself a good top 10 option all year.
That's what I have Stafford and Lance.
And I think that's amazing. Like that's beautiful.
I did pretty much the same thing that you recommended there. All right, let's move on to the running back work. And before I talk about this guy,
the man,
I just want to say, think about the years that we spent. I mean, how many years has Henry been in the league now? 4, 5? What?
I think this is his 6th season this year. Yeah.
Wow. Do you remember when he came in? Yeah, it was the first season of the RSJ, I think.
Yeah.
That
he was our flag.
You were just like so all over this guy, and he's the same, combine stats as like Von Miller, but he's a running back, all this stuff, and you were just like, it must have been driving you crazy.
Yeah.
The first 3 years or whatever of this guy's career, because you were just like, I see what's there. This guy is like a dump truck that runs like really fast and hard, and no one can stop him. Just give him the ball, and they just didn't. Yeah. They just didn't do it. And then at some point, I guess last year, the year before, they're like, hey, I got a crazy idea. Let's start handing this guy that's like the size of a dump truck and speed of a dump truck the ball.
Something sexier than a dump truck, like a freight train or a bulldozer. Like, dump truck makes it sound like it's just like gross.
But he has dump truck numbers. These numbers.
Eddie Lacy's a dump truck now.
No, like, Eddie Lacy is like a cement mixer. that like maxes out at like 30 on the highway. There's some fast, like expensive dump trucks that you wouldn't want to get hit by.
Okay, fine, fair.
He's a 2021 on brand new dump truck, state of the art, everything, nice rims and all that stuff.
Ripping for 80 miles an hour down the highway.
Right. and these are dump truck numbers. That 366 carries, 1,830 yards, 20 touchdowns on the ground.
Yeah.
And like no receiving work.
Yep.
like 10 catches or something like that. That's why I say he's dump truck. If he's catching balls out of the backfield and stuff, he's maybe some more versatile vehicle. You don't have to be when you're this guy. You just like, give me the ball and I'm just going to plow through people. And man, he's good at it.
Sure is. Yeah. And I think what you bring up, one is I've always loved the guy, and none of those years did I really ever jump ship. So it burned me for 2 seasons, and ever since then, it's been glorious. That's kind of why I wish we got into Dynasty earlier, because I've always said, don't worry, like this moron coach, someday someone's going to come in and give this guy the rock. And in 2019, it became very clear Arthur Smith was that guy. We were plus 27, I think, ECR. He was going, Derrick Henry was going. It's kind of crazy to think of these days. He was going round 3 because of all that misusage, even though Arthur Smith came out and said, I'm going to feed this guy all he can handle. People didn't trust it. And we're like, you can get Derrick Henry in round 3. This is a joke. He should be going mid-round 2 at the latest. And, of course, he led the league in rushing back-to-back years, led the league in rushing touchdowns back-to-back years. And guess what? If Nick Chubb doesn't do it, then Derrick Henry's doing it again. Absolute steamroller. I think there's so many, and a lot of guys I do respect, I think get way too cute about Derrick Henry. I get he doesn't catch passes. He was still the PPR RB3 last year, despite catching nothing. The same thing is going to happen this year. Sure, Julio Jones is there and going to take some touches, but he's also going to help this offense be in the red zone even more. He's going to help it. So how do you stack the box when you have A.J. Brown and Julio Jones on the outside? You can't. So the lanes are going to be wider than Derrick Henry's ever seen. The line is still very, very solid, and I think all but one starter returns. The guy is just a steamroller, and anybody looking to make him their first round bust. So many people are doing that. And it's just like, why? He's a tank. He's not going to get hurt. I mean, knock on wood, anybody could get hurt any given week, but this guy is built. Tank is better than a fucking dump truck, Nat.
I don't know, man. I don't think a Tanks is being that fast.
He doesn't need to be fast. He just steers.
But he is really fast.
Do you really think of dump trucks as fast? Who thinks
dump
trucks?
All right, so here's the thing. When you hear the word dump truck, you're probably thinking of a dump truck from the 80s riding down a dirt road with 6 guys in the back and the bumpers falling off. I'm thinking of jet black 2021, just like one of those dump trucks where you could fit 8 people in the cab and they go 90 really easily. Really expensive, something I could never afford.
Okay, fine.
I drive a total mom car. I drive a Honda Pilot. I mean, I don't think of him as a Honda Pilot.
No, and nor should you. The guy's a monster. And I think anybody that ranks him otherwise is just trying to find a reason to be bold. Henry's going to be top 5 no matter what your format is, even if he doesn't catch the ball. He's going to score. He almost had 20 touchdowns last year. He's going to smash all of he's just gonna be great. Don't get cute. Take him in your top 3. Don't listen to everybody else that has it. I was in a PPR draft for an expert league, Nat, and I had pick 11. He went pick 10. I was sitting there licking my lips, oh my God, I'm about to get Derrick Henry at 11. I couldn't believe it. And he had the pick before me. I got Travis Kelce, which I was
gonna say, did you get Kelce?
I did get Kelce, which I loved at 11. But man, the disrespect for Henry, I just simply don't get. It's far too cute in my opinion.
Disrespect him at your own peril, people.
Absolutely.
And speaking of dump trucks riding down dusty roads, I don't know. I'm from the South from an extremely rural place, and I rode in a lot of backs of dump trucks down, 40 miles an hour, 50 miles an hour down these bumpy roads. And just looking back on it, just amazing. I was never just rocketed out of the back of one of those things. It's something I would have a heart attack if I saw my kid doing now. But just did it all the time. Things are different in the South.
Right. Anyway, it sounds like it.
Right. Anyway, receiving is a solid, really good 1-2 receiving core. Do you think it's the best 1-2 that there is in the league?
Yeah, as long as Julio still has it, and for when he was healthy last year, he certainly still had it.
Okay,
I think it's the best 1-2. Yeah.
Okay,
AJ Brown trios, but yeah.
Okay, maybe the best duo in the league. AJ Brown, 90 catches, 1,341 yards, 12 touchdowns. That's on 138 targets. Good enough for wide receiver 6 projection wise. You've got him at 8 on the big board. Julio Jones, 88 catches on 132 targets. A lot of targets for both of these guys. 1,232 yards, 7 touchdowns, and that's good enough for 19 on each of your lists.
Yeah, I love them both. I mean, certainly AJ Brown, one of my favorite players to watch. I think maybe the best like all-around wide receiver in the game in terms of going deep, in terms of after the catch, in terms of being able to out-leap defenders. He does it all. I love AJ Brown. I would put him as a top 3 talent in the league. Nothing bad to say about the guy other than there's rumblings like he's expected to be ready for week 1 after having knee surgery this offseason, and that kind of came out of nowhere.
You just kind of slide that in between other stupid random news.
Right, exactly.
Oh, also, his knee surgery went well.
Yeah, yeah, right, exactly. And it's like, oh, that's worrisome. I mean, he did what he did last year. I believe he finished like number 7 in fantasy points on a destroyed knee all year. I can only imagine, assuming he's healthy, what he could do. I had him ready to be number 2 in my list until Julio Jones got here. So now that will obviously become another guy eating targets, whereas AJ Brown could have been like a 200 target guy, 138, 132 for him. But I do like that about this offense is there's only 3 mouths. It's very condensed, and it's 3 great mouths. And I think all of them, there's certainly enough volume to feed 1, 2, 3, Henry, AJ Brown, Julio Jones. I guess the one rub would be like, if one gets hurt, what kind of happens? Well, they could go berserk, or the whole thing kind of compose on itself because Josh Reynolds, Des Fitzpatrick, there's nothing really behind them. And then you look at the tight ends, Anthony Ferguson, no. Jeff Swaim, I don't even know if I'll have to go to the tight ends because they're useless. It's going to go all A.J. Brown, Julio Jones, and Derrick Henry. And I have no problem getting any of those guys and stacking them up with Tannehill. Like, very high-powered offense that only goes to 3 mouths. That's what you want in fantasy.
Worst tight end division in football. I'm going to say that now that we've done all 8. I'm just looking at the tight end options on these teams, and it's like, Mo Alley Cox is the cream of the crop.
I was going to say, who was the best of all these teams? Like, yeah, Mo Alley Cox.
For tight ends, it's definitely the Colts tight ends. But but that's damning with faint praise. It's not a great squad.
No, not at all.
Right. So anyway, if you're going to take my parting shot here is you don't want to go all in on AFC South tight ends.
No, not at all.
That would ruin your team.
It would. And I thought Ferksker might be useful. He was good in his starts last year, had a couple big games, but he's been running second team this whole entire preseason. I don't understand that. I thought he was going to be their kind of Jonnu Smith in an offense that's been very creative with their tight ends in the past. But if he can't run first team when there's no one ahead of him, what's his point? What's his role? So he's the guy that I did like for a little while, bumped him down big time so far this preseason. There's no tight end that I want in this division. Yeah.
All right. That wraps up the AFC South, and that wraps up the NFL. We did all 8 divisions. We said we would. We actually followed through and completed the task. That's 8 divisions down. That was fun. Absolutely. We do have some comments to hit. Some the regulars and some other fellows have been commenting as the show's been going on.
What is up, you fantasy wolf? Thanks so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, share your thoughts in the comments. Check out some more videos and join the newest Wolfpack by subscribing below.